an yayına başladık. Evet.
Hello and welcome to everyone. I am Emine. I hope all you are good and safety in these quarantine days. At the beginning, I would like to thank all auditions and participators. And special, is it okay? Luke is
Yok,
join out.
Düştü. Emine düştü.
Oh. Okay, we can wait for Luke.
Maybe we
Or
can wait.
do I have to
Biraz bekleyelim. Sanırım
Can-
yayından tekrar
Okay. Tamam.
bağlansın.
Aynen.
Zaten sen istersen kısaca Luke'dan biraz bahset. Hani hazır yayındayken biz tanımak isteyen, duymak isteyen arkadaşlarımız olabilir.
İngilizce'de mi bahsedeyim yoksa Türkçe mi? Bilemedim
Yani
şimdi.
Şu an Luke gelene kadar Türkçe devam edebilirsin aslında.
Tamam. Ya Luke benim şeyden aslında bir dil öğrenme programından arkadaşım geliyor.
Gel.
Okay, I'm continuing. Again, hello and welcome to everyone. Is it okay? Any problem, any technical problem? Do you have any technical problem? Everyone is hearing me? Shall we start?
Actually, we can see better than...
We can start.
Yeah, we can start.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything's good.
Again, hello and welcome to everyone. I am Emine. I hope all you are and your families healthy in these quarantine days. At the beginning, I would like to thank you all auditions and participators. And special thanks to Luke for accepting our invitation. Luke is my friend from a language learning application. It is insane because the fact we have stayed connected around 2 years and so that I am able to follow his great works. After giving a brief information now, I want to introduce our association movement, which allows us to do our organization. MIFMET is a law association, and our first mission is gathering Marmara University Law School students, academicians, and graduated attorneys. We aim to grow stronger together. Under this community, we sent our students to Erasmus projects as the International Commission of Movement. Tonight, we are doing our second broadcast under this organization of International Commission of Movement. This broadcast, we are aiming to improve our members' experience and help them in development. Therefore, I want to say special thanks to our association movement for giving this opportunity to us. I am excited to announce that, really. Now, what are we going to talk about tonight? We are going to talk about Luke with music and volunteering, which Luke is very experienced. On the other hand, Alicem and Tarık are joining us during this process. By the way, I want to thank them for participating us, and specific thanks you all by joining us in this experience. And finally, I hope it will be an amusing experience for all of us. And so, do you want to start with talking about yourself, Luke? Who is Luke? Tell us.
Okay. Well, I'm American. Sorry, it's not my fault. So yeah, I was born in the United States, but I moved to Bolivia, which is a country in South America, when about 15 years ago. So I've been living in Bolivia for 15 years. I married a Bolivian woman, and we have been married for almost 13 years. And we have 4 kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting story. First of all, I like your hat. Maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good. I have many questions, but we don't have time. Maybe after this broadcast, we will talk about Bolivia and your other experience or something like that. But we worked about some questions, and first of all, there is a pandemic now is about coronavirus. The world has changed significantly in these days. And how are your quarantine in these days? Maybe you can tell us about your quarantine days. What did you do, and what did your children's and people, uh, what people doing in Bolivia now?
Okay. Yeah. For me personally, it was a little frustrating uh, with the coronavirus situation. I had plans to start a new project, taking artists and musicians to orphanages. And we were going to do art workshops, and we are going to do concerts and plays, theater, things to encourage the children and inspire creativity and a healthy self-esteem. But coronavirus just like put that entire project on hold. It was very frustrating. So here in Bolivia, uh, we just got a brand new president. She's actually a transitional president. Um, we had some major protests back in October, and we kicked out our old president. So our new president, thank God, really reacted fast. She acted very fast to the coronavirus situation. So we've been in lockdown or quarantine for about 2 months right now. Um, there's around, I think, around 6,000 cases of coronavirus in Bolivia right now. Um, so it's been a lot slower than in other countries.
Yeah,
I think that was really good because our health system is really low quality. We are not equipped in our hospitals to have um, for this virus. Our hospitals are already collapsing, and we only have like 6,000 cases. It's not like I'm sure. I know in Turkey you guys have tens of thousands of cases. It's much worse. But
yeah,
yeah, so like quarantine for us has meant everyone has to stay at home. We are not allowed to leave our houses except one day a week. We can go to the market or supermarket to buy food, and that's it. Only one day a week we have to stay home. Um, of course, like the food industry and certain industries, utilities like electricity, internet, those people are still working. They have a special permit. But so it's been uh, good and bad. I think it's in a sense been good for the environment.
Yes.
It's been good for people to slow down, spend time with their families, but it's been really hard. For me, it wasn't so hard. I mean, I have things to do. I work from home. I'm making music, so I'm recording and I'm spending time doing things that I love to do. So that was kind of good for me. But it's really hard and frustrating to see so many people who are not doing well. Um, Here in Bolivia, there are so many people who live day by day. So they have to go out and they have to sell whatever it is. If it's a cell phone case or cell phone chargers, or they're selling bread on the street, or they're selling food. And they do this every single day. And then all of a sudden, coronavirus and the quarantine, and everyone has to stay home. So that means zero income for them, no money. And it's been 2 months. So it's been really difficult.
There's hard times, and there's a curfew now in Turkey at the weekends. But let's talk about some interesting and funny things.
All
We
right.
are curious about your story. How did you decided to the move to Bolivia?
Okay. Well, why did I decide to move to Bolivia? My first trip to Bolivia was in the year 2002, I think. Yeah, 2002. I was 20 years old. I was still in college or the university. I came to visit a friend of my parents. In order to understand my background a little bit, I come from a very religious background. My parents are religious leaders. Christianity is the religion. And so I was visiting some other religious leaders here in Bolivia. Now, because my family was a religious family and we received a lot of religious leaders in our house, I loved hearing stories about people from different countries. Like as a very little boy, I was very interested in what was life like outside of the United States. And so I dreamed about moving to another country since I was like a little kid. And so initially I came to Bolivia to visit these other religious leaders to see what Bolivia was like, to practice Spanish. And honestly, I fell in love. I fell in love with the culture. We were working in a very small town of only like 2,000 people. These people are indigenous people, so they speak Quechua, not Spanish. Well, they speak Spanish too, but their main language is Quechua. And very, very poor people. Most of them are farmers. It was just everything about the whole experience was completely different from the United States. It was quite an adventure, just learning a new language or two new languages, Spanish and Quechua, and then interacting with a totally different culture, learning how they think. It was really amazing. And then just seeing poverty, seeing people who have so little, people who live in dirt houses, like literally houses made of dirt, and sleep on floors made of dirt. And I got to sleep in their houses. I got to live with them. And it was such an amazing experience that I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my
Can you
life.
say hi in Quechua for us?
Yeah, Imanalia, how are you? Imanalia.
Yeah.
Walekia, I'm
Uh,
fine. Walekia.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And also, you have been in Turkey too before. What differences
Yes.
did you see in Turkey? How is it like?
Okay, so I've been to Istanbul. I would love to go to Izmir or some of the other cities. I've only been to Istanbul, and I'm in love with Istanbul. It's amazing. One of the reasons I love Istanbul is because it's so international, right?
Yes.
Here in Bolivia, I see Bolivians and more Bolivians, and I love Bolivians, but I love diversity, right?
Yes.
And when you go to Istanbul, it's just like, wow. I mean, you see, Indian people, you see Russian people, you see Brazilians, you see Saudi Arabians, you see Iranians, and it's just beautiful. And then I've also gotten the chance to hang out with, some Turkish people who are just very, very nice, very hospitable. I loved hanging out with them. I loved the food. The doner kebab was like, every day we ate doner bueno.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an amazing experience.
Mhm.
Turkish culture, I mean, I can't say that I saw a whole lot of Turkish culture
Mhm.
because, you know, when the first time I went to Turkey, I stayed with Iranian refugees. So I was there
Mhm.
practicing Farsi,
Mhm.
and eating Iranian food, which is good, and learning more about Iranian culture than Turkish culture,
I
unfortunately.
understand.
And then the second time, we were just staying in a hostel, but yeah, it's there's definitely, I don't know, it's just something very special about Turkey and Istanbul. I love it. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah. Uh, Emine said uh, something about you, and um, different languages. Am I right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
yeah, I
Quechua and Spanish, English, because you were born in United States, but we are younger than you, and
mhm.
we need some clue about new languages. Can you recommend it for us, or can you advise some tips about learning new languages?
Yes, I
Maybe.
can. Yeah. Okay. So I speak I speak three languages. I speak English, my mother language, Spanish, and Portuguese. I speak a little bit of Quechua. I can read French fairly well. I know a little bit of Farsi. Um, Türkçe bilmiyorum.
Oh.
I'm sorry. When I was in Istanbul, the only Turkish I used was İngilizce. Uh,
Biliyor,
İngiliz,
biliyor.
sí, biliyorum. No, yeah.
Do you know
Biliyor
English?
musunuz? Yes.
Yeah, İngilizce
İngilizce
biliyor.
biliyor musunuz? Yeah, that's all I said
Very
in
good.
Turkey.
You're good.
Yeah, but yeah, learning languages is hard. It's really difficult. I would like to congratulate you, Ali and Tariq and M&A. Good job. Your English is good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My advice to you, because obviously you already have a level of English where you can communicate, and that's good. Most people never get to your level. So for me, that's like, congratulations. Good job.
Thanks.
But in order to improve your language skills now, it's going to be more and more difficult, um, unless you find a community where you can practice a lot. You need to immerse yourself in the language, or like surround yourself with the language, and you need to hear it, and you need to speak it, and you need to start thinking in the language as much as possible. So, like, when I was learning Spanish, um, I had to spend a lot of time driving, um,
Mhm.
from my house to the university, from the university to my job. So I would try to have conversations with myself in Spanish, because I
Yeah.
wanted to make myself think in Spanish, right? And then, fortunately, here in the United States, we have a lot of Latin Americans. And so I went to work at a restaurant, a fast food restaurant, because everyone that worked there was Latin American. And so I would go to the university and study for like 3 hours in the morning. And then I would go to work and I would practice Spanish for like 5 hours a day.
Yeah, my cousin I think, went to United States last year, and
Mm-hmm.
he went to because of his improving to English. But uh, when he came back, he said me, I learned two languages, Spanish and English, because I worked in a kitchen, and he said me
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Latin American people work in there, and
Yeah.
my he said my Spanish better than my English, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is my last question.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, maybe Tarek want to talk with you. And Emine said us we when we talk about with you, and we understand with on your ambience, you know, your microphone and your earphone.
Earphones? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you're interesting about music, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know any Turkish musicians or any Turkish song? Maybe you can uh, tell us or something like that.
I I'm not I'm not very familiar with Turkish musicians or songs. A little bit with Turkish instruments.
Yeah,
So,
which one?
like when I was in Turkey, I really, really wanted to buy a baglama.
Yeah, I have
Bağlama.
Yeah,
I have one.
baglama.
Maybe I can
Yeah,
share with you, and
that would be great.
I can give clue about Balama for you. You know?
Huh? Oh, I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. It's a beautiful instrument. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough space to buy a baglama because it's too big.
yeah,
I have a small one. It's like a
yeah,
jura
yeah,
sa.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's very cheap, just for tourists. It's
yeah.
not a good instrument. I want a nice baglama, the big one.
Big one.
I did buy a dar, darbuka.
Yeah,
Darbuka.
Yeah,
darbuka
darbuka,
and
which is like a percussion
a
instrument.
drum. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, drum. Yeah, so I bought a darbuka, which I love, and I use it. I'm recording with it. So,
yeah. Actually, I want to share a Instagram profile with you, and I saw last month uh, there's a man in the this profile, and he travel with his Jura and his car. Is traveling around to Anatolia, and he talked with old musicians, old traditional. He trying to um, play old traditional instruments, and I think you will like that. And
yes.
when you search on this profile, you can see, I think, 30 or 40 different types of Turkish instruments and Turkish styles. Yeah,
Awesome. That sounds
yeah.
great. I will really enjoy that.
I will share you.
Please.
Thank
Hello again, Luke. I have some questions to you. First of all, we are both volunteers here, and I am in volunteering projects for years, since I'm uh, 10 or 11. Uh, so, do you want to talk about your volunteering experience? How did you start volunteering?
Okay. Wow. One of my first volunteer experiences, like the first major volunteer experience that I had, was we went to Nicaragua. Nicaragua is a country in Central America, a very, very poor country. And we worked with orphans, and we also worked with street children, children who lived on the street. We worked with children who lived in like the city dump, like the place where they take all the trash. And there was just thousands of people that lived there in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's how I got started. Of course, my parents, like I said, they were religious leaders. So everything that we did had to do with like the church and things like that. But yeah, on that trip, I just really discovered my passion for volunteer work. And I also discovered my own talents. I didn't know, like, and on this trip, I had to write like a play or like a theater to show the children. And I had to teach other people to act, and I had to translate it into Spanish. And I had to narrate or read the play for the kids and entertain the kids and play with the kids. And then we did music. And I discovered that, wow, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to serve people in this way. And it was just an amazing experience. And that's how I got started.
Yes. It feels very good, and we cannot tell it literally, I think. Because it's a little more than we can spell.
Yes.
May I interrupt, Tarık, for just a moment? And our members and President and Secretary General is watching now, and our President said, if Luke come to Turkey, I get a bağlama and I will give the Luke for a present. And our Secretary General and this head of this organization, Çağatay, said to you, when Luke come to Turkey, we will go with him to a, did you go to the meyhane?
Meyhane, no.
Yeah, and we will go with you to this place, and we will try to share our experiences and our culture with you and share with you, and we try to learn to you our culture and Turkish literature and Turkish musicians, and people talk about with you, and all of them love you, and they want to meet with you in Turkey, in Istanbul.
Wow. That would blow my mind. That would be so amazing. Yeah. I would so love that. This is actually, I'm sorry, go ahead, Amine.
Oh, no, you can continue. I can say later.
One of my dreams, and this might be a little step in fulfilling my dream. One of my dreams, like my biggest dreams, is to take teams of volunteer musicians and artists to other countries like Turkey, to, I don't know, Iran, or other countries, Egypt. Last year we went we were in Egypt. But I want to take teams of volunteer musicians and artists to other countries, and mainly to serve in like orphanages or in refugee camps. And then also to give the volunteers that experience of a different culture. because that was like a huge impact on my life. Leaving the United States and going to Nicaragua or going to Bolivia, it just so impacted my life. It changed me. And I want to give that experience to other volunteers. So it would be so amazing to be able to go to Turkey and meet with you guys so that you can help us, like show us your culture. And then if you have contacts with orphanages or refugees, some other organization where we could serve with our music, that would be so amazing.
But I warn you, we are all lawyers, and it would be dangerous. Sorry, Tarık. You can keep going.
We
Awesome.
can talk about this project
Uh,
later. I'm gonna ask about it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
yes, we talked about voluntarity. Could you explain between charity and voluntarity? Have you ever met volunteers who are spending their gap years?
I'm sorry, could you ask that question again? Have I ever met volunteers from?
Some of youngsters are doing their gap years. Have you ever met one of them?
I don't actually understand what get years are. Maybe you could explain that.
Some of young people, yes, you can say Emine.
It is not very usual in Turkey actually. It is, I guess just, it is very usual in United States or European students. Students want to rest and take a gap year. They
Gap
do
year,
just
okay.
what they want. And
Yeah.
Tarık asked, did you ever meet a person who is in gap year and doing volunteering?
Yes. I have met, yes, quite a few Europeans, like from, especially Germany. I've seen a lot of volunteers from Germany, possibly from other countries like Sweden or from the United States and Canada as well. I have not seen any Turkish people taking a
Yes.
gap year. I would love that. Honestly, I want you to come to Bolivia and do some volunteer work with us. I think that would be awesome.
Yes,
Maybe
I
one
think
day.
that too. I hope we all hope this, but in Turkey it is not very usual because parents wants to start jobs quickly as soon as possible. It is not very usual thing actually, but we will like that. This
But
it will be
it's
great.
yeah, it's gonna be legendary. Maybe one day.
And it doesn't have to be a year. It could be 1 month or 2 months,
Yes,
It would still be a wonderful experience. Even if you could come for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks,
yes, it will be great, I think.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we can do that.
Yes.
And I think we have no binding rules about that, and we are free. And maybe our family, our parents are conservative, but why not? Yeah, Luke did it. Maybe
Sure.
Emine will do it, and Tarek will do it too. And I think you can, or we can do that. And that's a chance for us.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
it's
Yeah,
our chance to create a
yeah.
culture of volunteering.
Look is our some like lighter, like
Yes,
yeah. There is a Luke Skywalker in there, and we are all
yes,
Jedi learning.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we are all Jedi.
Yes. That's great.
Yes.
Awesome.
I have one more question, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Young people holds almost of uh, all of the voluntary projects. Is there any old people in voluntary projects? Is there any uh, old volunteer?
Yes. Yes. Um I go to an orphanage. I last year I was going twice a week, and I was teaching music. But there was a lady from Spain who, I guess she's my age, around 38, maybe, if you consider that old. I'm old. Yeah.
No,
So,
I
you.
think we can say.
but yeah, I've seen, I knew like one lady, she was like in her maybe 50s, and she was a volunteer teaching English at the orphanage. And I have another friend who's also like maybe 40 years old, and he would go to the orphanage also as a volunteer. So yeah, I don't think age should be a limiting factor. A lot of agencies, like ISEC, is one agency that I like.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I know a Turkish guy who went to Egypt and taught English. I know a Mexican lady who went to Egypt and taught English. But with ISEC, you have to be under 30. Like once
Yes,
you're 30 years old, it's like, sorry, you're too old. And I think that's not fair. Um,
yes, you're right.
yeah,
But
us old people, we
yeah,
have
we
something
are
to
under
give too.
30. I think that is fair. We are under 30, and
Yeah.
for our opinion, that is very fair.
Yeah.
It looks fair to me too. Uh, we have Isaac projects, we have European projects, and
Mhm.
international projects to attend them because we are under 30.
Yeah. Well, you better hurry up because 30 comes fast.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
And uh, you was mentioned me about you have been working with children, also refugees. And do you feel any differences between working with children or refugees? Do you have to act something different with when you working with these groups?
um, well, the nice thing about children is their culture isn't very established yet. And if you can just kind of think like a child and be playful, it's
Mhm.
very easy in any culture. In
Yes.
any culture, it's just so easy to connect with the children and love them and play with them. Working with adults, say refugees, uh, they have their culture is very established, and their thinking patterns are very established, and the culture can be a very difficult barrier, um, because they only understand things one way because of their context. And if they're living, like if they come from, I have a friend from Egypt, and he lives here
Mhm.
in Bolivia. And for him, one of the big problems was the way the women dress, right?
Ah,
So, in Egypt, mainly it's a Muslim country. However, he's actually a Christian, like, from the Christian Egyptians. But still, everyone wears, like the women especially have to wear, long sleeves. You know, the Muslim women have to wear the hijab, whatever, and that's what he's used to, and that's his context. And then he
mhm.
comes to Bolivia, and it's like, oh my God, the women are wearing short shorts, they're
Mm,
wearing, the way they dress. I don't necessarily agree with the way they dress sometimes either. I think, maybe they could be a little more modest. But for him, it was just, this is horrible. Like this, we
Oh.
can't have this. And he, so it was very, you know, there's other things, the way like he's actually going through a divorce now.
Oh.
And it was like, he was married to a Bolivian, and it was like, okay, you don't understand the way Bolivian women think. That is why there's a cultural barrier that he would never let go of the Egyptian way of thinking. And so here in Bolivia, it caused him a lot of problems.
Yes,
And
I see.
as a volunteer and serving these different types of people, you have to really be open to
Mm-hmm.
different perspectives, different ways of thinking. So like my Egyptian friend would talk about how marriage is arranged. The father should decide who the man or the
Hmm.
woman is going to marry. And in our culture, that's like, no way. But
I
when I listened
see.
to my friend, I kept an open mind. And I said, okay, I understand why you think that is good. It makes sense to me. But here in Bolivia, sorry, it's not going to work. So it's
I
just
see.
those cultural barriers, yes, can be very difficult working with refugees.
Yes. I think K word is tolerance. We have to be tolerate each other
Yeah,
because
I would say tolerance and empathy.
yes,
I think empathy goes beyond tolerance.
yes,
Um,
you're right.
we can tolerate people and never understand them and never want to understand them. We just tolerate them. But empathy goes beyond it. It tries to really understand the person from their perspective, from their context. And I think empathy is really the what we should aim for.
Yes, you're right.
Hmm.
Dear Luke, time is running out, but we have some questions, and maybe we can ask one of them. And Murat, like your birth and such an inspirational broadcast said to us, and we have question from Buse. She's our member. He said, she say, hello to everyone. I have a question to Mr. Vandergrief. Is it right? Vandergrief
Yes,
or Vandergrief?
yes, Vandergriff.
And Vandergrief, what was the hardest part of volunteering for you?
Um, I think the hardest part of volunteering, um, I guess there's two things. Um, Sometimes you don't see the results that you want to see,
Hmm.
or at least not quickly. And that can be really frustrating because you want to see change. You want to improve people's lives. You want to see them get better and overcome. And sometimes, especially when you're working with very poor people, who come from a poor culture and a poor mindset, change is not easy. And that is very, very frustrating. The other issue for me would be that sometimes volunteer work is not always exciting. Um, it's like it's exciting to go like for 1 week, and you serve. For me, I play music or things like that. Oh, that's fun. But going every single week, every Sunday or every Tuesday, like I did last year, sometimes it's just monotonous and boring and not fun anymore. And so you have to be creative and find inspiration, find motivation, and find ways to make it fun again.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was the very best moment in my quarantine. You know, this broadcast and this
Wow.
conversation.
Mhm.
Me too.
I'm really happy to meet with you, and I want to thank to Emine and Çağatay and our alumni associations, and I'm really uh, serious about that. You should come to Turkey and you
Yes.
should share time with us. And we really want to do that with you and with your children and with your instruments, you know.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's all I say. And thank you so much again. Maybe Emine and Tarık, you want to say something?
Uh, Tarık, you can talk first, I think.
Thank you. As Ali said, it's one of the best days in quarantine, in curfew days in Turkey. It was really nice sharing day, I think.
Mhm.
Thank you about your attitude. Uh, that's all.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
If I would love to get to know you better, if you want to practice your English with me, you are welcome to do so, and I would love to talk more. MNA, you can give them my number, and we can connect
Okay.
on WhatsApp or email. But yeah, I want to get to know you guys better. You guys seem like really cool people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Yes.
first, I'm very happy for this broadcast. I'm very, very happy. But I'm very sorry because we are very addicted close. And I think we can finish with music if you available to look. It
Yes,
will be great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So I have my
Ukulele.
ukulele here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I write most of my songs on ukulele, and I want to sing you a song called "The Beauty of Life." It's a song I wrote in 2017 after traveling to Europe with my wife, which was a dream come true because I've traveled a lot by myself. But traveling to Europe with my wife was really special, being able to share those moments together with her. And so I was inspired and I wrote this song. And the song is also special to me because I never really played it in public until last year when I was in Egypt. I went to, actually, there's a video of me playing it in Sultanahmet with the
Yes.
Russian. Yeah, but
There is like a final episode of a TV series, you know. It's kept 50 minutes and it's closing with your song.
okay.
Yeah, it's
All
like
right, let me go to it. All right, let's go here.
yeah.
All right. I wanna travel the world with you. Wanna make all the dreams come true. Wanna travel the world, uncovering all the beauty of life. Silk road, spices in the air. I love the smell of green curry. It's beautiful. Sipping chai, we're on the blue skies, reciting Hafez and Sally. So beautiful. Coastal, Setswana, Afrikaans. This truly is a rainbow nation. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank
a
you.
lot. It was great.
I love this. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yes, that
so
was
much
me.
Thank
to
you.
you too.
Yeah,
It was
Awesome.
great
good.
experience for me.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
good
Me too.
evening or good night. I don't know that what's the time in Bolivia.
3 o'clock here.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Afternoon. Yeah. See you.
Have a great evening.
Take care of
Thank
yourself.
you.
Thank you
Goodbye.
so
Teşekkür
much.
ederim.
Görüşürüz.